When I woke up this morning, I did not expect to be saying this in the video, but that is the new Mercedes CLA in a low spec, and it's the best electric car I've driven all year.
Well, it's the best one I've driven. Ben has other ideas for our Car of the Year video, which you should watch after this.
And it's only partly to do with the fact that this car has an exceptionally long range, some fantastic efficiency tech, and that it can make even the clumsiest of drivers seem like an efficiency driving god.
It's priced competitively too, starting at £45,615 in the Sport Edition you see here, and only rising to over 50 grand if you go for a top spec AMG line.
Now, even though our CLA comes with 19-inch alloy wheels, and as much as I love this blue shade of paint, it looks quite racy compared to the otherwise classy exterior, I think the design is lovely, and that's despite the fact that this car comes covered in Mercedes badges. But if you can look over those slightly tacky details, you will notice that overall this is a very elegant, slippery shaped car. So much so that Mercedes claims that it will do 484 miles between charges. And that's despite the fact that this car isn't the longest car in the world. In fact, it has an 85 kilowatt hour usable battery in there. That's usable capacity. And so it's not the biggest in the world, but it still has an immense amount of efficiency. And I'm going to explain how. Or at least I will when we start driving. But first, we need to see what this car is like to live with. And that means getting inside and examining the interior and the very impressive tech. Now, we do have a very big slab of screen in this car, but because this is the lower spec model, this is not the Premium Plus, which gets a third screen for the passenger. Because we don't have all the screens, it does mean we've got some more Mercedes badges on the dash, which are, well, to me a bit tacky, but the screens are actually very impressive. Now, first we've got a big screen as an instrument cluster ahead of me here, directly in my eye line, and then you've also got a very big one in the middle as well. So if I turn the car on, I can see I've got my traditional Mercedes dials, but I've also got a very sharp display of a map in the middle as well. You can obviously customize that, but it's really useful for your sat nav. Same goes for the middle actually. You can have a big map there, or your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto wirelessly displayed there as well. And the menus and everything are super easy to use. It's really intuitive and it's familiar, especially if you've been in Mercedes before. But I guess what's most impressive is just how quick it is to use. And that is because this car does, and I can use this word without sort of inverted commas, it literally has a supercomputer aboard, which helps not only to make this tech really fast, but also to make the car really, really smart. More on that in a moment. But you don't compromise on overall functionality either. In fact, there's still good amounts of space, and because this comes on Mercedes' latest platform, both the electric and the petrol version of this have loads of storage space under there as well, and you've got room elsewhere, and the seats are comfortable, nice and squishy. Driving position is good. It doesn't go quite as low as it would do in a BMW, for example, but it's still nice and low, and you've got a great view over the bonnet. And I mean, when it comes to overall tech of reversing cameras and ergonomics, you've got some buttons on the steering wheel. It's all really good stuff. The only negative is that you don't have manual buttons for the climate control, but they are permanently displayed on the screen and in easy reach. So they're as good as it gets for touchscreen climate control stuff. And the Mercedes conversational voice tech is pretty good. For example, hello Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Turn the heating up to 22 degrees.
I'm increasing the temperature to 22 degrees.
Brilliant. And it does the same for whether you want to put in directions. It can use ChatGPT and Bing as well to help you with that, or any other functions in the car, or most of them at least anyway. So that's really, really good. Hang on a minute. He looks just like me. That's just reminding me actually, if you go shopping for a car like that Citroen C5 Aircross there, or this Mercedes CLA 250 Plus, well, did you know if you download the Cinch app, you'll be able to not just browse cars, but also compare them using the free built-in comparison tool. Use the QR code on screen now to get the app, and then maybe play top trumps and see which car is best for you.
Talking of playing, the supercomputer is so powerful in this Merc that you can even play proper video games when you're charging the battery.
Although you won't have that long to play on them, because this car will charge with 320 kilowatts because of its 800 volt architecture, which means you can fill up almost half of this car's battery in about 10 minutes. So you're only going to have about 15 minutes to play on these games, which is kind of a shame, but I guess at least that keeps the kids happy while maybe you go off and grab a cup of coffee. Right, how good am I? 2 players as well, look at that. I'm going with her. Now, obviously, it's not all going to be perfect in here because I have to admit the back is not the most spacious thanks to that swoopy aerodynamic roofline. Now, I'm just under 6 foot, and if I sit back in this seat here, the back of my head is grazing this bar up here, although I do technically fit, so that's okay. And actually my feet as well, even with the seat ahead set as low as it will go, my toes can just tuck under the seat ahead, even though there is a battery in the floor, which means my knees are a bit higher than they would be in a petrol car. So it's okay in the back here, it's not too bad. And actually if I lean forward, if I'm not laying down, the panoramic sunroof gives me extra headroom. And because in the middle of this floor down here, we don't have a tunnel, it means if I slide across to the middle, my feet are absolutely fine, but the seat is slightly elevated. So if I lean back, my head isn't just touching the top, it's touching the glass here. So you don't want any adults in this middle seat for a long journey. But I guess it's really a four-seater with this middle seat just in case you need it. And in that sense, it's very good indeed. Although, if you don't have anyone in the middle, look, there's nowhere to pull down a cup holdery thing. You can though actually access the ski hatch, which is handy, so you can lower this bit. There you go. So that's nice to know. If you do want to pack something longer in this car, like skis for example, you can do that, but there's nowhere to put your arm here. Now, boot space in the car is not too shabby. We've got a manual tailgate here, but it pops up with no effort whatsoever. And you'll spot that there's a good amount of room in here, but there are no charge cables. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, have they forgot to put them in the car for me? But no, there is actually a front boot, or a Froot, or if I have to, a frunk, which is big enough not just to swallow your charge cables, but actually a small bag as well. If you go with a carry-on cabin bag that's soft on an aeroplane, you could probably get it in the front boot, which is really handy, although the boot space overall is still far from the biggest in the class. In fact, with 405 litres in here, the Tesla Model 3 and its bigger opening tailgate, well, yeah, that's much more practical. But does it drive as good as this? The answer is, well, watch this. The ride is brilliant. It steers quite nicely, and dare I say it, it can feel quite sporty in the bends as well because the centre of gravity is so low. The torque and the pickup of the motor is really good. It really drags you out of the corners, but then when you get over 60 miles per hour, you feel the car click into its second gear, and then it feels like it settles right down. On a motorway, this is very, very relaxed and very, very efficient.
Yes, you heard me right. The CLA 250 Plus has 2 gears, meaning with 270 horsepower, it can crack 62 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds and power onto a German Autobahn-worthy top speed of 130 miles per hour.
But there's more, because I found when I got in this car there were no shift paddles, and I was very, very disappointed about that, because if you've watched this channel before, you'll know that I, like many other electric car drivers, like to have paddles on the back to adjust the strength of the one pedal driving mode. And in many cars, when you do that, if you were to click, you would feel the car slow down and actually use some of the energy that would otherwise be lost to go back into the battery. So it's more efficient, better for your range, and it means you don't have to touch the brake pedal. But in this Mercedes, they've come up with a genius solution that doesn't require shift paddles, but can use an existing component, and that is the shift lever behind the steering wheel. Because if you want the car to roll like a normal automatic, well, then you select the shift paddle, you basically push it forwards away from you, and it goes into a no recuperation mode. That means no one pedal driving, and I am having to use the conventional brakes like normal. But if I found myself coming up to a traffic jam, or I just wanted to allow the car to slow down a bit, well then I pull the shift lever towards me once, and then I get to a normal recuperation mode. The car slows down a bit. It's dropping down 5 or 6 miles per hour every 5 or 6 seconds. Or if I pull even a second time, then I get really strong one pedal driving mode. So much so that it will bring the car to a complete stop, as I shall demonstrate here. That's a serious amount of braking force. Honestly, that is, I genuinely didn't have to touch the brakes. You're welcome, smart car. I let the car go, and they didn't know I didn't use the brakes. This is a really good regen system, and it's the first one I've liked that doesn't have shift paddles on the wheel. If you do find yourself using the manual brakes though, the pedal feels natural, and that's not always the case in electric or hybrid cars. So in terms of the things you touch, steering, brake pedal, accelerator, even shift lever for the regen, it feels high quality, and it feels really well judged. This ride is really, really good. We are on some bumpy, broken B roads here, and the car is soaking them up at all speeds.
It's the ease of use that really stands out in this CLA. Take, for example, the buttons to switch off the annoying driver assistance bings that all cars get these days. They're just 1 or 2 taps away in the infotainment system. Or the fact you don't have to come to a complete stop to switch from drive to reverse, or vice versa. And there's no on or off button for the car. To start it, you just get in and select drive, and to switch it off, you press park trunk and get out. The CLA just makes life easier.
It's not trying to be something more than it is. It's just trying to be as efficient as possible, but with that Mercedes finesse you get from behind the wheel. So everything complicated happening in the background, well, you're just not aware of it, and all you're aware of is just how nice it is to drive. So earlier I said, does this drive as good as the Tesla Model 3? And the answer is, it drives better. Honestly, the Tesla Model 3 has its perks and definitely its power. But this, even with 270 horsepower from the rear wheels only, it feels quick, and yet it rides beautifully, it's effortless, and I just love the way the tech helps you not just to drive better and more smoothly and more comfortably, but also more efficiently. Honestly, if you hammer up and down the motorway all day long, this could very well be the electric car for you. And of course, even if you live in the city, it's going to be very easy to drive. So I am a massive fan, if you haven't guessed. And I think, do you know what? The pricing ain't too shabby for a Mercedes either. Although if you think the rear legroom and headroom just wasn't good enough for you, well, rest assured there are plenty of SUVs out there powered by electric and also hybrid and petrol too. And in fact, we've compiled some of our favorites in some of the videos on screen here. So get watching those, and don't forget to hit subscribe while you're at it.